There we go.
All right. So thanks again for inviting me, CARICAD and Dr. Parks. I am excited to be able to share with you the strategies for youth engagement and entrepreneurship, the Barbados experience. So we have quite a bit of ground to cover. So let's start. So Barbados is 166 square miles. We have an estimated domestic population of 269,000 persons. And according to the Barbados Statistical Service, the Labor Force Survey 2023, we do have an unemployment rate of 7.9%. And as Dr. Parks indicated, we know from research that those rates of unemployment tend to be higher in the youth population. So, of course, there is a need to have a distinct focus on that demographic. So let's take a look back to prior to 1995 and the conditions which would have led to the establishment of the youth affairs. So as Dr. Parks would have mentioned, there was a high level of disengagement in terms of the youth. They were not into structured programs and youth groups. They were not generally attending church or seemed to be interested in any kind of formal structure. There was also a lack of access to resources and employment opportunities for young persons. And as I said, the focus then became on young people with a view to equipping them to take up opportunities in the marketplace and around them that would have assisted them in becoming empowered. Prior to 1995, also, activities were administered from a youth desk, and it was normally subsumed under development ministries such as the Ministry of Education. The focus on young persons, yes, was local, but in large part also had to do with the fact that we had various commitments to international conventions. So let's actually look then at the Division of Youth Affairs. As I said, 1995 was really a very special and significant time in our history because this is when the Division of Youth Affairs was established. It is currently a department of the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Community Empowerment, and has the responsibility for developing programs and projects to increase youth engagement, reduce youth crime and violence, and enhance skills development in communities, and also to ensure that there is a boost in employability and employment. It consists of 3 departments: the Youth Development Program, YDP, or the Barbados Youth Advanced Corps. It was formerly called the Barbados Youth Service, and the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, familiarly known as YES. So government continues to seek and rationalize the financial investments in the holistic development of young people. And in so doing, we have been able to identify some strategic priority areas: research and development, public relations and marketing, reducing crime and violence, human resource development, empowerment of young people, and creating various pathways towards empowerment. And I pause here because as varied as we are as persons, then those options and pathways for young people also equally need to be as varied, so that there is not a thought that there is only one pathway to empowerment. If we are able to lay out a number of pathways, then young persons are able to choose the one which best suits them. And finally, we also have in our strategic area, youth economic empowerment. And this encompasses wealth creation, job creation, and entrepreneurship. And this is an excellent segue into the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme and what it offers. So YES was also established by Parliament in 1995. It is a comprehensive research-led program and is a department, as previously stated, in the Division of Youth Affairs. Our target group are young persons who are interested in starting their own businesses, who are between the ages of 18 and 35 years of age. Now, I smile because previously it was 18 to 30, and we received numerous calls, persons just outside that age range who were keen to access our services. So hence the extension to 35. I again have to smile, however, because my colleagues and I continue to get persons who, even though we've extended it to 35 years of age, who call us who are 38, sometimes 40s, early 40s or late 40s, and they too are keen to be a part of YES's program. We don't leave them in the lurch. We do have a number of other agencies in the entrepreneurship space that we do work with. So we are able to share those contact details with them to ensure that they also are able to get the assistance that they need. So YES is a very tiny department. We consist of one manager, and we have provision for 4 youth enterprise officers. However, at this point, we have 3 youth enterprise officers, 1 manager, and 1 consultant. And as tiny as we are, we do have a big mandate, and that mandate is to deliver a suite of business development programs for youth that inculcate the entrepreneurial culture, promote productivity, innovation, revenue generation, and wealth creation. So how are we able to do this? Well, we have a number of services and programs that we offer young persons who become YES clients. We offer business counseling, entrepreneurial development training, marketing service, and accounting service. We offer technical assistance. We offer financial counseling and referrals for financial assistance. We offer entrepreneurship education, community engagement, participation in trade and business exhibitions, and public relations. But I'm sure that you've signed up with keen interest to find out exactly what it is we do. So I'm going to break down each of these areas so you have a fairly good idea of the programs that we've implemented and we've been seeing success with. So business counseling is really that one-on-one active coaching and guiding of entrepreneurs. So when an entrepreneur approaches YES, they are assigned their own youth enterprise officer. And this is where the hand-holding begins, because they are able to discuss all aspects of the business with a youth enterprise officer and be given the guidance that they need throughout the various phases of their businesses. So we see the hand-holding as our competitive advantage. It is tailor-made and customized to each entrepreneur and their business. So as I said, it covers all aspects of the business, from setup to the operations, the management, and the growing of their enterprise. We have our entrepreneurial development training program. It is comprehensive, and I must add intense, because our entrepreneurs come 4 evenings a week for 3 hours. It is experiential, it is skills-based, and it lasts for 3.5 months. It equips participants with the competencies to manage their own businesses and personal lives. And this is important because we understand that unless they have a strong foundation in their personal lives, then it tends to be more difficult to be able to build a business if that foundation is not there. So a key part of our training is that we look at the personal aspect, the personal development aspect of entrepreneurship, and ensure that they are equipped with the tools needed to build on that strong foundation. It also provides practical and theoretical learning experiences through a series of modules and workshops. And we start, as I said, with the personal development, and then we move on to the business management workshops and modules. It also provides critical information to assist the entrepreneur with coping with the demands of a dynamic and challenging business environment. We also have a marketing service, and this marketing service supports the marketing efforts of emerging businesses. We utilize the services of contracted marketing consultants who deliver one-on-one marketing advice and assistance. And this marketing service, along with the consultants, can cover a wide range of areas, including advertising, promotion, branding, seeking opportunities for greater visibility, looking at your channels, looking at your customer segments, and also looking at aspects of your pricing. And so it is a complete package in terms of your overall marketing effort. We also have an accounting service, another critical area that we offer to our entrepreneurs. I think we can all appreciate, if we have interacted with a number of entrepreneurs, that oftentimes they are really good at whatever their core product or service is. However, adding the support of marketing and accounting services really helps to bolster their efforts. So we utilize the contracted accountants to provide clients with accurate financial statements. We also provide financial management support to clients, and these clients' abilities to manage their money. It assists them with sound financial planning, tracks the health of each business, and facilitates the business counseling process. Now, I think it's important to share an experience with you so that you can see just how critical this service is to a number of our clients. So a few years ago, one of our accountants was presenting to the YES staff on the health of the businesses under her portfolio. And she indicated that one of our clients, and let's call him John, had done exceptionally well in terms of revenues for that year. Now, in our history, we have never had an entrepreneur record those levels of revenue. And so we were all very excited. And just before, our excitement bubbled over, she said to us, okay, but I just want to point out something. For every dollar that John has made in terms of revenues, he has had to spend 90 cents to earn that dollar. And then that was, for us, the reality check. So imagine if John didn't have a service like the accounting service that could help him manage his finances and keep on top of what is happening in the business. Then he would have walked away excited about the level of revenue, but confused as to why his bottom line did not reflect this excellent revenue that he would have experienced. And so the accounting service is that reality check for a number of our entrepreneurs. It helps them, as I would have stated, to be better able to manage their money and to make sound financial decisions. I often say to clients that the accounting is the end result of your business decisions. So if you make poor business decisions, then it can be reflected in your financial statements. And I caution them to be careful of how they manage and spend those finances. We also have a technical assistance program, which is multifaceted, and it offers assistance to clients in a number of areas: business incorporation, access to specific business training, participation in trade shows, legal assistance, advertising and promotional activities, and small pieces of equipment. Now, this assistance is keenly sought out and sought after, simply because the process is that once you apply, it is reviewed, and approval has been granted, yes, we'll go ahead and pay the service provider directly. In so doing, we do it on behalf of the client, and the client does not have to repay these funds. So already you can see why there would be great enthusiasm to be able to access our technical assistance. Yes does not offer direct funding. And I'm smiling because oftentimes when entrepreneurs approach the youth entrepreneurship scheme, they are very focused on money. And we understand that money is important. They will oftentimes ask if yes, we'll fund their idea, if we will give them money or lend them money. And once we indicate to them that no, we do not offer any direct funding, I can almost see and hear the body language which says, I'm so disappointed. I was hoping that that was what you did. But unfortunately, this is not what we do. We are able, though, however, to refer our clients for startup, expansion, and venture capital funding from Barbados Youth Business Trust, Fund Access, Barbados Trust Fund Limited. We also refer them to cooperative credit unions, commercial banks, and angel investors. And yes, is that link between those financial agencies, and once that assistance is approved, we are working with them in between to ensure that they are able, one, to access the financing, but also to be able to manage those funds once they are approved. So earlier I would have spoken to our mandate being to inculcate a culture of entrepreneurship, and this then led rise to Yes Juniors program, an entrepreneurial-based education program which targets primary and secondary school students ages 9 to 17. It teaches them practical skills needed to run a business. It promotes self-employment as a viable career option, and this is important. It promotes the benefits of owning your own business, develops entrepreneurial traits at an early age, and fosters a culture of entrepreneurship. Coming out of this successful Yes Juniors program came the emergence of a summer enterprise program known as Experience Enterprise. And we are again preparing ourselves for another Experience Enterprise, which is going to be starting next month. As I said, it is a summer program, and it targets young persons who are keen on entrepreneurship and who are between the ages of 13 and 17 years of age. Yes engages in quite a number of community outreach engagement activities, and we facilitate training, sensitization, and exposure to all things entrepreneurship within communities. So we do get invitations from churches, from youth groups, from sporting groups, and from other agencies who are also doing work within the community. We are also participants and key participants in a number of trade and business exhibitions. And so we are able to facilitate our clients who have registered businesses to participate in a number of local exhibitions. So they participate in AgroFest, BMEX, Girlfriends Expo, the Yes Business and Talent Expo, but also there are a number of events that arise throughout the year, and consideration is given to their participation in those events. So public relations is a key aspect of what we do. Yes sponsors a nightly news countdown on our local TV station, CBC TV, and we also sponsor the business report segment during the evening news. And the results are incredible in that it is national exposure for our young entrepreneurs and their businesses. We sponsor it once a week, which is on Tuesday evenings. And I usually say to clients that they need to be prepared, because once they are featured on the business report, then there are an influx of calls. There's a higher demand for their products and their services, and they need to be ready for that level of exposure. Oftentimes people can feel a bit intimidated, like they're going to be featured in the evening news. However, 10 out of 10 times, once they've had that experience and that exposure, they're happy that they did it, because they can see the benefits from the calls, from the increased sales that happen right after the program. So now this is an important aspect of the presentation in terms of I want to share with you the challenges which we would have faced, some of the successes, lessons learned, and future direction. So when we think of the challenges, one that stands out is a hesitancy by entrepreneurs to formalize. I don't think that they naturally think that they need to register their business names with their intellectual property office. And so once they come and they interact with us and we are able to share with them the importance of doing so, then we're able to encourage them to take that next step to formalize. I have to tell you that oftentimes entrepreneurs see this formalization process as a way of government somehow tracking them, coming after them if they are not meeting their statutory requirements. And so some people shy away from it. However, we are able as youth enterprise officers to counsel them so that they see that this is a benefit to them and to their business. So I would have spoken to the avoidance of statutory obligations. And when I speak to this, I'm speaking of the filing and payment of taxes, and also investing in their national insurance scheme or national social security service. And again, once we are able to counsel them, they come around to understanding that this is a benefit for them. After all, there are a number of social services that they're able to access free of cost. And it is only free of cost at the point of delivery, but we are paying taxes for the roads that we drive on, the healthcare that is provided in our public system. And so they understand, having been counseled, that they too have their part to play. There has also continued to be an issue of funding, but we have definitely seen an improvement over the years. Even up to recently in 2018, we had the establishment of the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, and it is very popularly known as trust loans. And they are able to access funding there as first timers to that program. They're able to access up to $5,000 at an interest rate of 5%, which is very good, given that most of them would not have any history or collateral with that agency that they would be able to have as security. In terms of successes, I think that there have been many. the creation of an enabling and supportive entrepreneurship ecosystem. We have a strong ecosystem. There are quite a number of agencies that are able to partner with us. So I wouldn't want you to walk away with the idea that Yes is an island all on its own, doing it all. No, we work very closely with a number of other agencies, and I would have mentioned a number of them previously, but we also work with the University of West Indies, their SEED program. We have the Barbados Small Business Association. We also work with the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation. We work with the Export Barbados, formerly known as BIDC, the Barbados Investment and Development Corporation. And so we do really have a very strong and enabling environment with the entrepreneur at the core. We've seen changing views regarding entrepreneurship, and this has been profound in that we have gone to schools, we have asked students, what are you thinking about in terms of a career? And previously, you would only have had your usual options: doctors, lawyers, teachers, firemen, police officers. And increasingly, you are hearing children say, I want to be an entrepreneur. And when you drill down, they're not just saying it. They do have an idea of what they would like to bring to market. And increasingly, we're also finding that those students have already started some aspect of business, whether it is jewelry, keychains, they have started something. And so this also speaks to the changing views regarding entrepreneurship. We noticed that, yes, there have been increasing numbers of young persons interested in starting their own businesses, and we're able to measure that, especially when they are coming into our entrepreneurial development training program. We normally advertise within our database, but then we do extend it to the general public so that there are young persons who may not yet be clients of Yes. And so when we look at those numbers, increasingly a number of persons are approaching our department already having started their businesses. So lessons learned. It really does take an entire ecosystem with entrepreneurs at the center to make their success more likely. So let's say they are unable to get some aspect of assistance from us, they are not left out in the cold. Because of this enabling environment, we are able to work with other agencies to ensure that they are successful. We also support their journey, and it is critical to support it not just at the beginning, but throughout the life cycle of their business. So for however long as they are with us and they require our assistance, we know that the needs of the entrepreneur and the business, that those needs are going to change over time. And we are able to adapt and adjust to be able to give them that assistance depending on where they are at that point in time. It's also critically important to share the journeys of our entrepreneurs. Success breeds success. So once we are able to showcase the success of our entrepreneurs, especially in the case where I would have indicated that we do lots of public relations, they featured as part of the evening news in the business report, then we then are able to see a number of persons who have been rolling around with ideas of entrepreneurship, businesses they would like to start. They then give us a call because now they feel like, I am similar to that entrepreneur. And if that entrepreneur can do it, I can do it. So I'm going to give Yes a call to see if I can get that assistance to ensure that I too can get my business off the ground. In terms of the future direction, YES is going to be credentialing its YES's Entrepreneurial Development Training Program in collaboration with the University of the West Indies. And this will give the certificate more weight. Currently, we issue certificates of completion and participation. And now this certification, this credentialing process will have the University of West Indies logo alongside YES's logo, which will give it greater recognition. We are also on the cusp of an expanded community reach program. And so we are going to be taking this program into a number of communities across Barbados, exposing young persons there, where they live, where they're at, to a number of the tenets of entrepreneurship and how to start a business, how to grow it, and how to manage it. And we are getting ready to launch that program in the next couple of months. And then ultimately, if we look at our strategic plan 2022, it speaks to that continued commitment to the holistic development of young people in Barbados. So I want to thank you. That has been my presentation. I trust that it has been detailed enough that if you are currently looking at expanding your entrepreneurship ecosystem and your offerings and programs, that you have enough here to begin to think of and look at how you would be able to implement in your country. So thank you, and I am open to any questions or any suggestions that you may have. Or even if you have already your own program and you just wanted to share with me what's happening in your country. No?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Claire. Congratulations. What you share with us, very, very comprehensive. So we can either use a chat feature to share our questions or comments. We also would love to hear your voice. So if you have a comment or question you want to, and your microphone is working, you can just simply raise your hand and we will be happy to take your question. So Sharma says, excellent presentation. Thanks for what you do to advance entrepreneurship in Barbados. Olivia, but earlier she said, hi, joining from Texas. Nice to have you. And she says, great presentation as well. Let me ask a question while people are probably thinking about their question, Claire. What would you say for a youth entrepreneur are the things that the common mistakes, even the top 2 common mistakes that a youth entrepreneur might make that might derail their progress as an entrepreneur? What would those, like the red flags they need to avoid, as it were?
Okay, interesting question. I would say my top 1 would be not doing enough research. You have the idea, you think it's a good idea, but you've not done enough research to validate the idea, right? To ensure that there's enough market for it, people are interested in it, they understand it, they know how to access it. You've just not done enough research. You don't know where you're going to get your raw materials from, the cost of maybe bringing them in versus accessing them locally. I would say generally it is lack of research.
Okay. As you talk about doing market research, I'm also curious about, are there opportunities for collaboration across different CARICOM countries? Because I do know that other governments are doing so much similar things. And, I think about, how do we get people to access markets and beyond their national boundaries?
Yeah, that's going to take a bit of research, but if you're at the point where you think you have a product or service and you are looking to export, then we would refer you on to Export Barbados, because they would be able to assist with the marketing, the market research, and then the marketing of that product or service. So it goes back to something I would have said previously about this enabling environment. So if yes was on its own, that then would have been an area that would not have been covered. But we are able to work with other agencies to ensure that the market research can be done, setting them up for a higher possibility of success in overseas markets.
All right, thanks. Dr. Osai from Ghana has a comment in the chat, and he says, excellent presentation. And he really saying he likes the structure of YES in terms of its support to financing support, so that the young entrepreneurs bear the risks indirectly in seeking financing. Joy also likes the structural support. So talk a little bit more. There are sure people here who they might be in the process of, redefining, trying to augment their, their youth engagement strategy, youth entrepreneurship policies. About that, how do you ensure that you have structural support that is comprehensive and collaborative?
Well, the beautiful thing is that you don't have to start over. If you have viewed the presentation and you were able to see the various aspects of the assistance that we cover, and you don't have it, you yourself do your research, ask your entrepreneurs, and then implement. I know that you might not be able to do it all at once, but look at the different programs and see, okay, what is needed next? What is it that my entrepreneurs are dying to get? And sometimes it's a case where they don't even know that they need it, but you know that they need it. So you can then look at a number of the services and see which are the critical ones that you need to implement and which ones you'll implement first.
Right, great. There are some questions coming up in the chat. So Peggy from Suriname is asking, is there a database of the established businesses throughout the years? And are they being tracked after completion of your youth entrepreneurship education program?
Okay, great question. Yes, we do have a database. And we have just actually started an exercise of tracking them. So our research department, which is part of the overall Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Community Empowerment, they are tasked with the tracking. So we are in the process of tracking them to see where they're at. We know many of them would have come to us at the idea stage. So having gone through the program, you do want to know if started, if they came having already started, you want to know if they are in business, and if there's further assistance which they think that they might need at this point.
All right. So we also have Lavon Clark, who says he was a graduate of the YES program and facilitator of several of its programs over the years. So she's asking, how is YES using or thinking of using artificial intelligence technologies in the delivery of maybe all of or part of its training programs?
Oh boy, that's a big one. I don't think that we have started to fully examine that as yet. So that's something that I think that we have had some discussion, because recently we were exposed to some training. So we now have to look at how we can implement AI to help our entrepreneurs.
Thanks. The second question that Lavan has is this. Does YES seek out past graduates of the program to see where they are and why they may no longer be in entrepreneurship, with a strategy designed for second chances, or a philosophy of leaving no entrepreneur behind?
Right. Okay. So interesting question as well. As I said, we are tracking our entrepreneurs at this point to see exactly where they're at, but also to, depending on when they would first have accessed our services, we continue a relationship with them. So if they come to us early, like maybe 18, we continue that relationship until 35. So that is a long stint within which to track. It tends to be a little bit more challenging if entrepreneurs come to yes 34, 33, 34, when the tracking period is going to be much shorter. But yes, we do follow up with our entrepreneurs. And now is a good time to say that we love to do business with our entrepreneurs. So where they are, let's say there's an entrepreneur that produces woodwork, and we have a need for gifts, and they can produce it, we're happy to do business with them. Same thing with caterers. Any service provider where we have a need and they're able to supply and they're a yes client, we are happy to have them be our first choice.
All right, great. Another question from Leanwall. Leanwall is from Grenada. And he's asking, one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is accessing finance from commercial banks at lower interest rates. Are there any ongoing discussion with the banking sector to assist startups with lower interest rates?
Okay, so this is very interesting, and this speaks to the changing environment and how we have been able, as an entrepreneurship ecosystem, to influence the banking system. So initially, there were no such thing as small business loans. That just didn't exist. Or it was very challenging for entrepreneurs to be able to access funding from commercial banks. Now, because we have at least 2 players in the market who do funding for entrepreneurs, now the banks have come around, because now we have a greater number of persons who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, and now they can see, okay, wait, this is an opportunity if we can assist in financing some of these businesses and their business ideas. So we began to see a change in the banking sector, and sometimes you cannot wait for them to make the change. You have to create the environment, create the conditions where there is greater demand for it, and also put an alternative in there that competes with what they may be offering, because now it forces them to relook what their offerings are. And now you can hear more and more persons saying in the banking sector, we are interested in working with entrepreneurs and financing some of their ideas and businesses.
Right. I love that. And so that speaks to me even more broadly about the role of government in the economy, and that government often has to, provide an influencing role on
Yes.
the other sectors in order to, to steer the economy in the right direction. There's another question here in the chat from Dr. Sai. Has there been any joint venture startups? And if so, have there been any successes in that area?
Unfortunately, there have not been that many. Generally, it is the single entrepreneur who is coming forward, trying to get assistance with their business. They usually do it on their own. I know that we have had only a few joint ventures. And if I look at it, I think there is a hesitancy to maybe pair with another person or another entity. Part of it could be trust, and an uncertainty of how that's going to pan out. So I think that persons are cautious in going in that direction.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, that has been my experience as well. It's a trust issue. It's also that's a more complex business operation that you really have to understand what to make that sound, what are all the legal requirements, etc. Larissa Gittens, Larissa is from St. Vincent, another one of our alumni, permanent secretary Larissa Gittens, welcome. And she's asking, has there been any incubation of businesses? So do you have any business incubation services as a part of Yes?
Not as a part of Yes, however, it does exist in the export Barbados. I know that they do it, and so if there are clients or entrepreneurs who are fit whatever their criteria would be, then we would refer them to that program.
Okay. Jillian is asking, we want entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs to succeed, but at what point do you assist entrepreneurs in switching gears? So is there an assessment or assistance to help them to assess market trends over time, for their services or products, to know when they do need to pivot, as it were?
Right. So, oh, wow, that's a fantastic question
Yes.
because what is success for the individual, right? At what point are they determining for themselves that this is not working? What are those measures? And I say this because sometimes you can continue doing what you're doing, and if you're not measuring it, then you don't know that you maybe are not as performing as well as you should be. I don't think we ever say to an entrepreneur, this is a bad idea or you should stop, but we are always continuing the process of counseling. So if you approach us and we're having a discussion and we're looking at the numbers and the numbers just aren't making sense, we are beginning to have that conversation with you about what else can you offer? Is there a way that you can tweak this business idea? Maybe it has something to do with the channel that you're using to get your product or service to your customer. Are you really reaching your customer? Have you defined who your customer is? So there are a number of questions that come up within that business counseling aspect of the service that we offer. And this helps entrepreneurs to be able to pivot and to make what can oftentimes be difficult decisions, but decisions that need to be made anyway.
That ties back to a previous question about, artificial intelligence and to what extent, people are embracing ourselves in the roles that we have, but also your clients embracing technologies to, do things differently or be more impactful. I mean, I recall seeing this particular image. So one half of the image, you see a cameraman basically almost hanging out of a helicopter, taking an aerial picture. Nobody does that today. And the second image was a drone is doing it,
Right.
And so it's about, do you have a cameraman in a helicopter mentality or do you have a drone mentality? Something for all of us to think about because, the technology is changing so rapidly. And so we have to constantly be examining, monitoring, and having that willingness to reinvent as needed. Okay, we still have a little bit more time. If anybody else has any additional question or comment, these are all really, really good ones that we've had in the chat. Here's a question from me, and the question is prefaced by somewhat of an assumption, which could be wrong. So tell me if the assumption is wrong. But certainly, I think a lot of young people who come into programs such as these tend to be those who maybe have not done quite as well in the formal education system, right? So they may have had challenges, say, to matriculate to, a university, etc., and go on to more traditional things. And so I know there's a lot of research around the fact that part of the challenge entrepreneurs face is actually their own mindsets. the ability to think that they can do it, they can actually be successful and sustainably so. So tell me about your education program in terms of not just focusing on the technical skills and needs like the financing, accounting, and marketing, but also the mindset to succeed as
Yeah.
well.
So, Dr. Layuna, I often say when we have our orientation for our entrepreneurial development training program that I just love the energy in the room. It is almost like those entrepreneurs, they have met persons of similar mindsets, and there is such an excitement and buzz. And it is because for many of them, they are coming from a place where they're not getting that high level of support. But when they come into that space, now they feel confident. They are meeting other entrepreneurs who have similar ideas or different ideas, but they too are stepping out of their comfort zone to step into this entrepreneurship space. And you did speak about the assumption that maybe they have not done as well at school. However, what we've discovered is increasingly we're getting more persons from diverse backgrounds. So you're going to have persons who are into, vocational activities. You're going to have persons who have gone to university, persons who have graduated from secondary school, graduated from college, and they're all in that one space. So before, there was a time when you wouldn't get professionals necessarily approaching yes, but that is changing. Again, it goes back to the changing entrepreneurial culture within the country. So I may have learned how to be a doctor. I may have learned how to be a dentist, but I don't know how to manage a business. It's a completely different skill set. So those persons have been approaching us as well. So we see persons across the spectrum in a variety of sectors who see the benefits of accessing YES's programming.
No, indeed. You are quite correct, you know. So you're running a legal office. It's a business, you know. You may be part of a community group, maybe a church, and a part of what you're developing is a business. Maybe it might be
Yes,
non-profit, but it needs to be run effectively. Those
yes.
skills are definitely applicable there. Um, and I see another comment in the chat from Hillary Alexander. Hillary is one of our executive coaches with some of our programs here at CARICAD. And she speaks about this is a Jamaican context, but the fact that the bureaucracy tends to be difficult to navigate, and that simplifying these processes could be helpful. Processes around assistance with market assessments, etc. And so, just based on what you have said, you have shared, let me ask that: do you is there support for helping young entrepreneurs in terms of market assessments? And you can speak to that.
Right. So actually part of the training program, they do look at market feasibility, they do market research and feasibility to ensure that the idea that they have is something that could work in the market. We want to encourage entrepreneurs to come up with products and services that people need or that solve a pain or a problem or that anticipate a need that someone might have. Sometimes you're first to market, people don't know that they need it. A few years ago, we didn't know we needed a cell phone, but there was marketing that went into it, and now none of us is able to move from one place to the other without our cell phone. So I think that the same is for our entrepreneurs. We want them to be able to do the market research, find out what's out there, find out if people are interested, and then target those persons. It will take education, and it does take a bit of a push, but that's the way that they have to go.
All right. Let me Oh, I've missed a hand. Joey James had a question, had his hand up. So Joey, let me take your comment or question.
I actually wrote it in the chat, but I was basically asking what opportunities are there for consultants, because I'm in the consulting field, but I specialize in procurement and project management. I recently signed up on the Barbados Integrated Government Portal, and I was viewing the submissions there on it, the proposal and everything, but I'm not seeing much in terms of basically developing Barbados itself, other than the coastal project that I submitted a proposal for. So I'm looking to ask what opportunities are there to actually for consultants like myself in the field of procurement and project management to actually contribute to Barbados development.
Joy, unfortunately, I am not sure in terms of that program. I just do not have enough information on it to be able to tell you if this is an area that you'd be able to get work in. I'm just not sure.
Okay.
So Lavon lives in the Cayman Islands, and whose government budget for 2024 is projected to be 1 billion in revenue. The level of opportunities for youth is beyond belief. Yet, she's saying you're not seeing the success rate that should be expected. In the context of, yes, the level of effectiveness that you do with little is commendable. And I believe yes needs to do more marketing of his achievements and perhaps ignite a Caribbean program for other territories to clone. So thank you for that. Claire, you see the commendation, and so this is what we really, why we do these webinars. It's really to showcase those bright spots that exist, and that we know that we can learn from each other. And if you reach out to us, so you can stop sharing your screen. Let me just go to the final announcement before we wrap up. And so if you want to, learn more, hear more about the program, maybe you want to get some more information from Claire, just reach out to CARICAD and we can connect you. All right. Our email address is info@caricad.net. And so before we leave, I'm going to ask our virtual producer, Roger. See, he's put our email address in the chat. He's also going to put a link to a survey poll. There's a short survey poll. As you heard Claire saying, we believe feedback is a gift. And so we would like to hear how you found this webinar. And you see what kind of graduates we produce, eh? So please do register, invite others to register for our mid-level leadership development program. The call for applications are out. You can access that information via our website, caricad.net. We have been emailing information out and putting it out on our social media platforms as well. And if you just say, okay, I'm not seeing these things, just email us, info@caricad.net. And we're happy to pass on more information about the program and the application form itself. So there it is in the chat. There's a link to our feedback poll. And you also see our website address. And so, Claire, I knew it would be good, so I'm not surprised. But it's not just me. I'm not the only one saying that. You see the feedback in the chat. We are really absolutely proud of you. Keep on doing the good work. And we know we're going to hear about the higher heights and deeper depths that you'll be going in your own career development. Claire, we love you. Thanks a million. Thanks to all of you for joining us here today. The slides will be shared with you, and the recording will also be reshared. We send the link to all our registrants. It's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. So enjoy the rest of your work day and the rest of the week. Yes, Claire.
Just before you go, I just wanted to say thank you also to CARICAD and to you, Dr. Parks, for the vote of confidence, and thank you for the opportunity to share. I also want to thank the ministry, my ministry, the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Community Empowerment, who permitted me to be able to share in this forum and for the vote of confidence as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So, goodbye, everyone.